Welcome to Smart Life. I am Dr. Gina. The type A personality, always going to be driven to perfectionism. But did you know that perfectionism is a major factor in predicting an early death? Not only that, the perfectionist personality is more likely to be overweight, to have mental issues, and to fail at work. Who would have thought that? And why is that happening? The cheeky scientist cited a study that followed 450 people for more than 6 years. In addition to perfectionism predicting mortality, the study also found that almost half of those who are perfectionists are so out of fear of criticism. 50% of perfectionists believe that other people's opinions are more important than their own opinions about themselves and their work, and only 10% of those who are not perfectionists fear criticism. Most of that group believe their own opinions are more important than opinions from other people about them. But here's the shocker. Extreme perfectionists have the lowest work performance rating of all. LiveScience.com says that the pitfalls of perfectionism, are that they try to be meticulous at their jobs, and they're only happy with perfect exams and raising perfect children. And the problem is that there are not enough time and abilities in a given day so that the self-concept is then affected when the failed attempts begin to mount. The advantage, if there is one, I guess, is that perfectionists tend to be all or none. They can stick to a fitness ritual, a study course, or a diet with absolute conviction, but other things fall short. That can result, temporarily at least, in healthier lives and a sense of control. But experts say the mental pressure that the perfectionist puts on himself outweighs all the other health benefits in the end. The study I mentioned earlier says that long-term perfectionism leads people to distance themselves from other people in a sort of a mental attempt to accomplish their goals, perfectly, of course. Additionally, they tend to form surface relationships at work in an attempt to buffer criticism or failure because they so value other people's opinions of them. Later in the lifespan, perfectionism is particularly destructive. As age occurs, perfectionists develop severe anxiety because perfection gets harder and harder to achieve. This can lead to the use of drugs or alcohol, depression, and of course further isolation, which we all know is deadly in old age. And then there's parenting. The perfectionistic parent may be destructive, as we all saw over the debate of the tiger mom and the helicopter parent. But in a world full of slacker millennials, it would seem we could use more perfectionistic parents, wouldn't it? Well, research says no. Parents need to remember that our job as parents doesn't end when they get into a good college. We need to think in terms of parenting a successful and happy 40-year-old. Do you think of that when you're parenting your kids? Every move we make needs to be considered under how will this behoove my child when she's 30, 40, 50 years old? I think that the skills and resourcefulness and things like that are what matter the most. Creativity, flexibility, self-discipline, resilience, much better than teaching children to be perfect. Parents should focus their energies there, but too many fix their eyes on a scholarship or in a sort of a make or break way or into getting into a certain college, certain fraternity, a certain job. Research bears out that these things don't matter as much in the long haul as the skills I mentioned above. Most importantly, the relationship between the children and the parents is perhaps more important than any of the above, and that, of course, is going to suffer if the parent is overbearing. All of the above can be destroyed by a perfectionistic parent trying to raise up that perfect child. It's a recipe for total disaster. Psychology Today said it is critical to understand the difference between a high achiever and a perfectionist. They're not the same thing. High achievers rule the world, know their own skills and limitations, and don't attempt to be perfect. They understand that failure is passing, it'll go away, and they renew their efforts to overcome failure and turn it into a success. Perfectionists learn to put on a facade. They not only magnify their failures, since that's what precludes them from achieving their only goal of perfection, but they worry about criticism and being found out for their imperfections. They feel inauthentic. Their creativity and resilience are stifled because they fear the B+. They see minor setbacks as a catastrophe.